Thank you everyone for being on. This is the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy's webinar on the Renew Tennessee campaign. I'm Justin with SACE, and today we're going to be talking about the Renew Tennessee campaign. And some of you may be on here from the push to freeze the fees in Knoxville, which has been a part of this statewide campaign, because raising fixed fees is the exact opposite of what will make energy more affordable and cleaner. And we'll talk a little bit more about the local action as we go along in this webinar. But you know, the Tennessee campaign, or the Renew Tennessee campaign's overall mission and commitment is to clean, safe, and healthy communities by basically challenging policymakers at all levels to make bigger, bolder commitments to policies that increase investment in energy efficiency and expand renewable solar energy. You're going to hear on this call from Lindsay, our regional organizer, and she's going to talk a little bit more about what we're doing, why it's so important, and why all of us coming together now to act is so urgent. We do have a visual part of this, and the link to that is in your email. And everyone's on mute, but as we go through the webinar, you'll have a chance to type comments and questions in the chat box, and at the end, we'll have a chance to open it up for questions as well. So our goals, you know, for the next 20 minutes or so, are to introduce everyone to the Renew Tennessee campaign for affordable, clean energy here in Tennessee. Talk a little bit about the strategy, and then close out with some opportunities for folks to start taking action right away. But first, a little bit about why we're here and what we're fighting for, and you know, pretty much the thing that binds all of us together in this campaign is the belief that, you know, healthy and safe communities depend on having energy that's clean and affordable. And so our vision with the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy and this Renew Tennessee campaign is to ultimately, you know, live in a state where we have healthy and safe communities because there is energy that's affordable and clean. But as any of you on the phone are aware, there's a combination of climate change and a lack of leadership to champion good policies, and really efforts actively suppressing solar and energy efficiency efforts that are in the way of that progress. And you know, some of the challenges to that progress are felt by folks all across our state. Energy waste and higher bills, and the historic lack of investment in energy efficiency at a federal, state, and local level means that energy is being wasted, and folks are feeling higher bills, and that's burdening families. Inefficient homes mean that many of our communities have some of the country's highest electric bills. In fact, too many Tennesseans pay as much as 20% of their income in utility bills, and Tennessee's currently has the seventh in the country in terms of the highest bills in the country. And families feel this, especially older ones are living in discomfort, even danger, because their homes are already leaky, their heating and AC aren't working right, and they're basically forced to choose between power bills and food or medicine. And some of these high bills are also due to high fixed fees, which actually work against energy efficiency because it's charging people more whether they turn the lights on or not. And this is one of the reasons why your work in Knoxville, focusing on the utility board's fixed fees there, has been so important. You know, another challenge to progress has been the lack of renewable solar energy. This chart is showing that, you know, while solar energy is becoming the cheapest source of clean and affordable energy, you know, other states are leaning on it, while Tennessee is lagging behind other states across the country on solar installations. And the lack of renewables mean that we're actually paying more for dirty energy, and we don't have to, and we don't have a choice because most of these electric utilities are monopolies. And then finally, another challenge to progress is that not enough of all of us are being heard because there's a lack of transparency in the process, where too many decisions are being made behind closed doors without the input, influence, and accountability from the public. And also more participation is needed. You know, we actually have the support for greater investment in energy efficiency and renewables, but seeing change is going to take growing the number of supporters who are speaking up and demanding action by decision makers. And so all of this really takes us to like the ultimate change that we need and what this campaign is about. And the ultimate change we need is increased investment in energy efficiency and renewable solar energy. This reduces waste and pollution and ultimately is saving money and driving economic growth. Increased investments in energy efficiency reduce pollution and creates jobs and saves money. All of that is crucial to healthy and safe communities where we have more comfortable homes, fewer tough choices between energy bills, food and medicine, and more local jobs and more choice for energy. So what does it take to get there? Where does the policy change happen that actually accomplishes that goal? Well, if you remember the I have a bill, policy change actually happens in a lot of different places. It can happen at the federal level with things like the Green New Deal and fuel efficiency standards, which require a Congress and a president to support it. State policies like incentives for energy efficiency and solar are possible, but that happens at the state level. Administrative policy at the utility level, and utilities are organizations that manage the creation of energy, like the Tennessee Valley Authority, and the distribution of it to your home, like your local utility, the Electric Power Board in Chattanooga or KUB in Knoxville. They have a lot of influence, like setting prices on energy that encourage or discourage use, or like Knoxville's utility deciding to charge fees for energy use that are fixed rather than based on how much you use. And then local policy, like a mayor committing to renewable energy financing on city buildings so that there's more solar at a city level. The bottom line is that there are a lot of different ways to solve the problem, but the biggest problem we face right now is not enough people are talking about the need for a renewed commitment to a Tennessee where people have access to energy that is affordable and clean. And not enough people are demanding that decision makers at all levels adopt policies that expand energy efficiency and renewable solar energy to get there. And that's where the Renew Tennessee campaign and the community teams that we're working to build come in. So we've done a lot so far, and we need to do a lot more to grow the movement. There's a lot has happened over the last couple of years to push decision makers to make greater commitment to energy that's affordable and clean. We've convened businesses and supporters around Tennesseans for Solar Choice to draw attention to our ranking in solar and call on Tennessee Valley Authority, our producer of energy, to make more of their energy solar, like other states in the South. The Freeze the Fees efforts in Knoxville have put pressure on the utility there to stop including the fixed fees on bills that charge people more regardless of how much they use, because it discourages energy efficiency and actually works against renewables. Memphis Has the Power and Share the Pennies are efforts there to drive more funding into weatherizing homes and energy efficiency, the saving bills and improving people's quality of life. We organized the Tennessee Runaround to draw attention to the Tennessee Valley Authority's hypocrisy around their support for energy efficiency while relatively doing nothing about it. But here's where we are now. Seeing any of this move forward depends on decision makers at all levels hearing from more of us from the bottom up, asking for their commitment to Renew Tennessee's principles for energy that's affordable and clean through more investment in energy efficiency and renewables, period. And the only way we hold decision makers accountable is by growing the number of people, asking each of them, will you make a commitment? What will you do? And when will you do it? And that's the work that this campaign is after and working to accomplish. And millions of people are actually already with us. In fact, 81% of Tennesseans are with us. Polling shows that there is overwhelming bipartisan support for solar and energy efficiency. And, you know, given that broad, diverse bipartisan support, that means out of 3.7 million registered voters in Tennessee, there's about 3 million who are actually our allies and supporters and who want to see the same thing that we do. But how many of them were heard from at the last board meeting or heard from their city council person or their state rep or their legislator? How many of them emailed or called or met with a policymaker asking them to make this commitment? And this is the work that we're doing now. All of these policymakers at every level, if we want to see change and action a priority, they need to hear from thousands more, and that's where this campaign comes in. So Renew Tennessee teams are groups of volunteers working in their community to fight for affordable and clean energy and working to create opportunities so that we can move policies forward that grow investment in energy efficiency and renewable solar energy. So how do we do that? We got to increase the number of voices calling for change at all levels. And we got to challenge policymakers at all levels to answer that question. What's going to be their commitment to renewing Tennessee as a place where people have energy that they can actually afford? And what is their plan to get there? And then holding them accountable. So how do we do that? Policymakers at all levels need to be getting the message it's time to renew Tennessee, certainly at the federal level, certainly at the state level, but change always starts right here at home, at a local level, with our city council and our local utility and our mayor. And we're starting with local advocacy for policies that take steps towards our Renew Tennessee values, like freeze the fees in Knoxville or share the pennies in Memphis, or raising energy issues by raising energy issues up in our upcoming mayoral and city council races to make sure that the next administration is making these values priorities in the legislative season that comes. And here's why doing this at every level matters so much. At a local level, our utilities, they're distributing energy to our homes. They can make it harder or easier to expand renewables. And they need to hear from us, and the policymakers that are responsible for governing them need to hear from us that this needs to be a priority. City council, county commission, and mayors, our cities and counties could be leading on energy efficiency and renewables through retrofitting buildings or moving to more renewable energy on those buildings. They need to hear from us. Decision makers at all levels need to be hearing from our supporters at all levels that committing to renewing Tennessee values is a priority, and we want to know what their plan is to get there. So we have a lot of different ways we will be reaching out and mobilizing folks to take action. And I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay now to talk a little bit about what's next and how we grow from hundreds to thousands calling for change. Lindsay, you should be unmuted.
Hey everyone, my name is Lindsay. I live in Chattanooga, and I've worked on clean energy issues across Tennessee for the last 5 years. I became involved shortly after the birth of my oldest child in 2013. As a new parent, I felt the urgency that the impacts of climate change would have on her life. And I also felt frustrated from the inaction in transitioning to renewable energy. So while my daughter would sleep on my shoulder, I started calling my legislators, asking them how they were going to protect the safety and stability of our kids' futures from climate change. From those conversations, I realized that there was a huge need for Tennesseans to engage on clean energy with our decision makers. I started a Tennessee state chapter of a national organization that fights against air pollution for our kids' health. And it was through that work that I've had the opportunity to have countless conversations with Tennesseans across the whole state. And I really can personally attest to what Justin was talking about earlier, that really the majority of people do agree with the need for more affordable clean energy. So our job is to make sure leaders hear from more supporters. And how we create opportunities to renew Tennessee is that more policymakers hear from more supporters. And we can talk about that we're going to do that. So Justin talked a little bit about creating these volunteer teams, and these teams will be reaching out to likely supportive voters and organizing activities that allow more of our voices to be heard by decision makers. That means in every community, we want to grow the list of supporters who are going to be contacting legislators and decision makers, asking them to renew Tennessee. And we can do that by emailing them a letter, directing social media towards them, calling them on the phone, having an in-person visit with them where we share our concerns. We can write a letter to the editor, and then we can speak at any press event or public meeting that we see. And as Justin mentioned earlier, we know that there are millions in Tennessee who support our Renew Tennessee values. So we already know that we have the people power to win. We just need to organize the outreach that gets more of us heard. So if we want to create opportunities for our policies to pass at any level, from local all the way up to federal, we first have to make it something decision makers are having to talk about by growing the number of supporters calling for action. If there are millions of voters who support Renewing Tennessee by growing investment in energy efficiency and affordable clean energy, our first goal then is to grow the number of supporters that decision makers hear from asking them to make a commitment to Renew Tennessee values. So next Thursday on May 16th, I'm heading to Knoxville to kick things off with a Renew Tennessee community meeting. At this meeting, we will bring together supporters. We're going to introduce the Renew Tennessee campaign, and we'll start to plan outreach. And that outreach will start to allow us to grow the list of supporters that are going to be delivering petition to our policymakers at every level, asking for them to renew Tennessee's commitment to clean, affordable energy. We know that we have thousands of supporters in Knoxville, and I need all the help in making sure people who want to get involved don't get left out. So if anybody on the line today, if you would like to help in making sure that we reach everyone with an invite to our first community meeting, or if you want to help me organize a first community meeting, I know we have a little chat feature. You can just kind of drop us a message in the chat feature. And if you are listening through just phone only right now, we will also make sure that we send an email out to everybody. So thank you in advance for your help. I'm really excited to meet y'all next week, and I'm really excited to start working on Renewing Tennessee together. And in closing, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Justin.
Thank you, Lindsay. If anybody has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat box. And while we're waiting to see if anyone has any questions, another way to think about this for folks that are on the line from Knoxville is that change happens locally, and you all are in the middle of a mayoral race and city council race, and out of 185,000 folks in Knoxville, probably about 150,000 are with us and supporters. And if we can grow the number of people who are asking every candidate and every person what is their commitment to these values, then we have a chance to make this a policy agenda, make it a priority going into next year. And if we can make change in our city, we can begin to make change in our state. And if we can begin to make change in our state, we can begin to make it in our country. And so with that, let's open it up for questions.